Guantánamo Bay, a name that resonates across the globe. The name alone evokes strong emotions, stirring up images of protests, human rights debates, and intense political discourse. It's a place synonymous with controversy, shrouded in secrecy, and entangled in complex legal battles. The barbed wire fences and classified documents tell a story of a place that many find unsettling. But why does this place exist? What historical and political forces led to its establishment on the southeastern tip of Cuba? What led to its creation, and what purpose does it serve today? These questions are crucial to understanding the broader implications of Guantánamo Bay. This essay delves into the history of Guantánamo Bay, exploring its origins, its evolution, and the controversies that continue to plague it. From its early days as a naval base to its current role as a detention facility, the story is complex and multifaceted. From its humble beginnings as a strategic harbor to its transformation into a notorious detention camp, Guantánamo Bay has always been at the center of geopolitical strategies. Guantánamo's story is one of shifting political landscapes, military strategy, and enduring ethical dilemmas. The debates in Congress, the military strategies, and the ethical discussions all paint a picture of a place that is as controversial as it is significant. Join us as we unpack the complexities of Guantánamo Bay, shedding light on its past, present, and uncertain future. Through historical images, recent news footage, and expert interviews, we aim to provide a comprehensive understanding of this contentious site. It's a story that demands attention, sparks debate, and compels us to confront uncomfortable truths about justice, security, and the rule of law in the 21st century. The scales of justice, the security footage, and the courtroom scenes all serve as reminders of the ongoing struggle to balance these critical issues. Guantánamo Bay is located on the southeastern tip of Cuba. It's a deep-water harbor, strategically positioned near the Windward Passage, a vital maritime route. This location, overlooking the entrance to the Caribbean Sea, has made it a coveted prize for centuries. The bay itself is surrounded by rugged terrain. This natural barrier enhances its defensive capabilities. The area experiences a hot, tropical climate with a distinct rainy season. To understand Guantánamo, we must rewind to the late 19th century. The Spanish-American War in 1898 marked a turning point in the region's history. The United States, seeking to expand its influence, intervened in Cuba's fight for independence from Spain. Guantánamo Bay played a pivotal role in this conflict. It served as a strategic landing point for American troops. The bay's deep harbor provided shelter for warships and facilitated the movement of supplies. Following the Spanish-American War, the United States secured control of Guantánamo Bay through a lease agreement with the newly independent Cuba in 1903. This lease granted the U.S. the right to use the land for the time required for the purposes of coaling and naval stations. This agreement, however, was fraught with controversy. Many Cubans viewed it as a violation of their sovereignty. The lease, initially intended to be temporary, became a source of enduring tension between the two nations. Section 5. A prison emerges. Guantánamo's transformation after 9/11. For much of the 20th century, Guantánamo Bay operated primarily as a naval base. However, the September 11th terrorist attacks in 2001 dramatically altered its fate. The Bush administration, seeking a place to detain suspected terrorists captured in Afghanistan and elsewhere, turned to Guantánamo. This decision was driven by a number of factors. The administration argued that holding detainees outside the U.S. mainland would circumvent certain legal constraints. Guantánamo, they believed, provided a legal and logistical solution to a complex challenge. Section 6. The legal and ethical quagmire controversies surrounding Guantánamo. The establishment of the detention camp at Guantánamo Bay immediately ignited a firestorm of controversy. Human rights groups, legal scholars, and foreign governments raised serious concerns about the legal and ethical implications of detaining individuals indefinitely without trial. The Bush administration argued that the detainees, classified as enemy combatants, were not entitled to the same legal protections as prisoners of war under the Geneva Conventions. This stance sparked a global debate about the limits of executive power and the fundamental rights of detainees. Section 7. A global flashpoint, international condemnation, and calls for closure. The detention camp at Guantánamo Bay has long been a focal point of global controversy and debate. Guantánamo Bay quickly became a symbol of American overreach and a stain on its international reputation. The facility, established in the wake of the September 11th attacks, was intended to detain and interrogate suspected terrorists. The detention camp drew widespread condemnation from human rights organizations, who argued that the methods employed there were in direct violation of basic human rights, including Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, which have been vocal in their criticism for years. These organizations denounced the use of torture, indefinite detention without trial, and the lack of transparency surrounding the detainees' treatment, and the lack of due process afforded to detainees. Legal experts and advocates have also raised concerns about the legal justifications used to detain individuals without formal charges. The international community echoed these concerns, amplifying the call for justice and accountability, with many countries calling for the closure of Guantánamo. Diplomatic pressure has mounted over the years, with allies and adversaries alike urging the United States to reconsider its stance. The United Nations Human Rights Council repeatedly urged the United States to shut down the facility, emphasizing the need for adherence to international norms, citing violations of international law and human rights standards. The ongoing debate continues to challenge the ethical and legal frameworks of modern governance. Section 8, Guantánamo Today, a legacy of detention and uncertainty. Despite years of international pressure and promises from successive administrations to close the facility, Guantánamo Bay remains open. The Obama administration, while significantly reducing the number of detainees, faced significant political and logistical obstacles in fulfilling its pledge to shut down the camp. The Trump administration, reversing course, vowed to keep Guantánamo open and even suggested sending new detainees to the facility. As of 2024, the Biden administration has pledged to close the detention camp, but the path forward remains uncertain. Section 9. The future of Guantánamo, a question mark on the world stage. The future of Guantánamo Bay is a topic of intense debate and uncertainty. The future of Guantánamo Bay hangs in the balance as the world watches closely. The Biden administration faces a complex set of challenges in dismantling the detention camp, which has been a symbol of controversy for years. These challenges include finding countries willing to accept remaining detainees, addressing legal hurdles that have long been a barrier, and overcoming domestic political opposition that remains strong and vocal. The legacy of Guantánamo will continue to shape debates about national security, human rights, and the rule of law for years to come. It is a legacy that cannot be easily erased. The international community is also watching, as the decisions made will impact global perceptions of the United States. Whether the United States can close this controversial chapter in its history and reclaim its moral standing on the world stage remains to be seen. The stakes are high, and the world is watching. The outcome will not only affect the detainees and their families, but also the broader principles of justice and human rights that the United States has long championed.